Hey there, everyone. Gerson here from MSP Saber. Today, we're talking with James Griffin, and we're talking about the biggest mistakes MSPs make with procurement. James, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I've got a IT distribution company. So that we talk to about 1,400 MSPs on the regular about what they're doing, what they're seeing in the market. And what we see most often when we're talking about procurement mistakes is letting the customer manage all of the types of equipment that are coming in. As an MSP, everything's based on how much that they can do with automation. So consistency is key. They want products that are going to be the same from business to business if possible. Treating the equipment itself as the end goal. Anytime I hear from one of the ends that they have to have a blank gen, X amount of RAM, X amount of hard drive, particular video card, I usually retort with, what are they using it for? Instead of a tech spec, because the end user doesn't care about the tech spec. And the MSP just wants the end user to keep rolling, right? So by standardizing a product, they can keep consistency high. One of the things that we want to help the MSPs do is come up with a solution. So if something goes wrong with an end user's computer, you're not trying to find the part that you need to repair a machine, you're fixing the business problem. So yeah, I would say the biggest mistake that we see about procurement is trying to fix technical problems instead of fixing business problems.
I'm wondering, is there sort of like a pattern that you've seen? Because I know for me, usually if you have some sort of regular account management, even just quarterly, you start kind of giving or really understanding kind of what the client needs are. Is there maybe like that's kind of where the disconnect starts? Or is it really just truly that people are a little too quick to placate to their clients?
Placation and a lot of our MSPs, they come in, their customers already have equipment. Their customers used to buying from Best Buy. They'll jump on Dell.com. As an MSP, letting the customer do that, Dell's horrible about trying to take deals direct, or the MSP is not making any money off of that procurement.
Mhm.
Then they can't control that process either. So the customer is going to go on there and they're going to see a machine, an XPS, Dell system. They look gorgeous. But from an MSP's perspective, they've got a single failure point, a USB-C. They're not as, rugged, I guess, as say a Latitude or an enterprise grade machine. But they're going to see it as, well, I can get one of these for X amount of dollars, and that's less expensive than I can get an enterprise grade machine. Not thinking that, well, that's going to break down. The MSP is going to have to do work on that. So the cost for the MSP is actually going to increase by having to maintain that type of product. If they can make something be part of that process, like you said, during those quarterly reviews, saying, hi, Mr. Customer, these are machines that we already know work. We know what the failure rates look like. We know what the consistency looks like. If we can standardize on a particular piece of equipment, it's going to keep your downtime low. And to give you an example, one of the equations we like to work on with the MSPs, the difference between saving the customer $100 on a piece of hardware, how fast does that $100 disappear if their employee isn't able to work?
Hmm.
Right? So you save $100 or $200 on a piece of machinery. If that employee can't function for 1 day, 2 days, that savings evaporates instantly. In a system that we provide, consistency in product, hot swap spares, that allows the MSP, instead of trying to figure out what's wrong with a machine, fix the business problem. You've got a user that's not functioning. If you can grab another machine from the shelf to replace it that's identical, that's where that consistency comes in. Maybe it's just move a hard drive from place to place, get that customer up and running again. That's the least amount of expense for the customer and for the MSP.
Yeah, that's great advice. I know everything you're saying, it's like if someone were to sit down with their client, and I'm kind of going from my experience in the past with my MSP, um, all those requirements you listed, that it's easy to replace, you know exactly what you're getting, right? that's not how your customer decided. They probably went by on how it looks. It was on sale. So their neighbor told them they bought one and it's worked out okay for the last 3 months, so why not buy 20 of them and give them out to your whole company? But I think one of the things for me, I know I started sharing that with my clients. I was in New York City, so everything is still, pretty close by. Especially, I know when I started working with some companies that were like tech startups, which they're
Yeah.
notoriously known for being very, very cheap initially, or even the whole way through. You start sharing them. It's like, listen, this computer costs about the same. And I can get on-site support, which means that if anything breaks through, literally someone's coming here with parts, and you're getting a functioning computer before they leave. That type of turnaround you're just not going to have with every brand, and sometimes even with the same brand at a certain level, right? Because HP has their consumer level and then they have their enterprise.
Well, and that's one of the things that we had to solve for. We're secondary market distributors. So we do a lot of refurbished gear, new open box in that realm. And we were looking at it as how can we provide a better service to the MSPs without that giant network that Dell has, right? How do you solve for that? So what we came up with was that consignment program, the Net 90 consignment that we do. It allows the MSPs to get the machines in-house and have hot swap spares on the shelf. So what's faster for the customer? You can grab something on Amazon. 2 days is still 2 days.
Right.
The consistency is not there. You don't have a known product. And then having somebody to be able to come out. In Dell's case, yes, they'll come out and do repairs, but they're going to come out and diagnose and do repairs. They may not have the part on them all the time. And what we were
Yep.
seeing is a lot of clients, they would say, okay, yes, our SLA is 24 hours. They'll send somebody out. They try to repair whatever they can when they're there. But if they need to bring in a part, that machine's down.
Right. Yeah, and I love
So,
that about your solution. I mean, you could just give me a whole other computer. 'Cause sometimes people don't realize it's a best effort with those on-site visits, and you might need like 2 more visits, especially if it's a more complicated piece of equipment.
right. And we tried to cover 80% of needs inside of a business. If it's a super complicated piece of equipment, let's just say they do graphic arts, video editing, we're not going to try to maintain those things because they have too many different pieces and portions.
Mhm.
But for the standard user, an i5 that runs Windows 11, 16 gigs of RAM, a 256 gig hard drive, that's your standard user for most clients. We want to have that and a spare for you to get them back up and running. Because the client, they don't care that a power supply went out. To them, it's either functioning or not functioning. If we can take, like you said, take a machine, put it in there, fix the business problem, which is make sure that that client is up and running. The way we do that is instead of you calling me to say that there's an RMA from your MSP, we allow the MSP to take one of those hot swap spares that they have in house,
Mhm.
fix the customer, and then call me. So you're not getting approval. You're not waiting for somebody to schedule an appointment. None of that. It's how you beat Dell with Dell's own equipment without their network is give more power to the MSP.